So for our workshop, it's three of us today. Myself, Mathieu Braconnier, I'm heading up marketing for Como Hotels and Resorts, based here in Singapore, a small luxury boutique hotel group. And we have Ivan Cintado from the Hotel Network, and Kamesh from RateGain, right? So our masterclass is going to be in three parts. First, I will intro and talk about content and content marketing, and we'll give you some tips on how to execute this for your hotel. And then Ivan will go through a more in-depth view into the booking funnel journey and more specific and tactical initiatives to help you convert that looker into a booker. And Kamesh will take a broader perspective into content in the realm of digital and beyond, right? All right, let's go. So yeah, these are our three parts. So why does content matter? Really, the short answer to this is you have a good hotel, a good product, you need good pricing, and today we have lots of revenue managers in the room, and good content. And the combination of these three factors are your value proposition, which will drive your sales, right? And you can see this little illustration on the right. I'm sure some of you may know the Marketoonist, right? Where the little girl asks her daddy, instead of reading a story, can you read me some branded content, right? And I think this just illustrates a bit of a fun fact where brands think that our content is really amazing and we are in love with what we produce, and we would get to the point where people actually want to read about our stories, because content is about delivering stories, right? But the problem is it's not that easy to generate good content, right? And there's Joe Pulizzi from the Content Marketing Institute said the majority of the content we generate through blog posts, e-newsletters, etc., is flat out awful. If you show to your wife and friends what type of content you generate for your hotels and brands, there's a high likelihood that after a few minutes you will lose their attention immediately, right? And it's actually a good test to do, right? Like, show what you're doing to your to your family and friends and see how they react to it, right? Because it's when we are in the office, it's really hard to gather this customer feedback on how good or how engaging a content is. But that's a good test to do, right? Even when you ask marketers themselves, just 1 out of 3 believe their content is actually effective, right? And there's a few traps that most marketers or more commercial teams in our industry fall in, right? The first one is we think, and there's a myth thinking that the marketing team is in charge of content for the company, right? We park it on the marketing and that's it, right? But content cuts across all commercial functions, right? Cuts across marketing, sales, revenue, PR, F&B, right? So we saw the example from Sherry that is showing that menu, right? It's really about delivering how do we craft this content to be effective, to drive sales? How do sales teams, generate content for their own customers? How do revenue, thinks about optimizing their booking engine on the way, rooms are presented? Second trap is content is mostly to talk about, my own brand, my products, and it's more or less the same of what my advertising strategies are doing, right? But content, we need to remember, is for the customer, right? You really need to take your customer hat, put it on your head, and think then how are you going to generate content that drives value for that customer and not just selling your products and your brand, right? Because you might not get a lot of interest from your customer if you just think about here's the solution, here's what you need, but you actually don't know what the customer is searching for. Content for the customer also needs to be fed by insights from your customer, right? So when you develop a piece of content, let's say to sell your hotel, do you actually know, is this solving a problem for your customers? Is this answering to the right expectations from your customer? Do you have these insights once you start to develop your content or not, right? And what we are seeing in the industry is that we omit this part, right? We start to develop content based on what we have, our products, but without thinking is what we have, is it actually meaningful for the customer? Number 3, content is considered cost center is my organization, right? We cannot measure ROI with it, right? It's difficult to measure the, the impact of content for the company because there's no that direct correlation that, digital marketing or paid ads can have with the immediate ROI, right? But, sometimes we also will think that ROI is the only metric for content, whereas, there's different ways of measuring it, right? That we'll go into more detail later, right? And instead of thinking about it as a cost, right, we also can shift a bit our mindset to think about investing content as an investment and investing it more intentionally, not just think that's a cost that we must go through, right? And myth number 4, once I've produced my content piece, the job is done, right? Typically, once in the hotel industry, you develop your content for your website or other channels, and you just let it sit there, right? And then you think that the job is done. But we have to go into a test and learn mindset about developing content, right? Revenue managers spend a lot of time optimizing pricing all day long, right? Why are we not, doing the same with content and testing and learning all the time? I think we have, again, very good examples from Sherry earlier when she was doing a lot of experimentation between, a simple menu and a complex menu and other criteria that can be tested over time, right? We feel, in the industry, we're not doing as such effort to evaluate the performance or the impact of our content. So next is, we typically in marketing, we think about, the upper funnel, the lower funnel. Upper funnels drive brand and awareness. Lower funnel drives conversion. But again, if we think about what it means for the customer, it's going to be understand what is unique about your brand, right? And that's, what the mindset we want to go through, right? So I'll give you three tips of how, we're thinking about driving brand and awareness at Como Hotels. First is starting with interesting conversations. When we develop content, when you talk to, think about talking to your customers like talking to your friends. You need to think about interesting conversations. So therefore, you need to know what topics are of interest. It's not necessarily your products and your brand, but it's going to be more about a destination and lifestyle aspects, right? So you need these customer insights in order to understand, what angle you're going to take in your content piece to then curate your content. Here's just an example where we talk about Bali, but when we talk about Bali, we are not talking about our hotel and the number of rooms that we have, but this is a hotel we have in Canggu where actually the main interest in the destination is about surfing, right? So the piece of content is about surfing because we know that this is what customers are searching for when they travel to Canggu. Number 2 is it's really important to identify unbranded keywords opportunities, right? As most marketers we know, people are searching for your hotel in 2 ways. Either they search for your hotel name, or they will land on your hotel eventually through a generic or unbranded search, right? And the people searching for your hotel, the volume of it is rather low compared to people searching for destination hotels. So unbranded keywords really represent the bulk of your opportunity. It's almost think about it as a infinite opportunity or net you can catch more fish through, right? So we need to ensure each of your hotel understands what are the unbranded keywords that should be a target for you to rank for, right? And I'll just illustrate this with an example from ISG that I've used, with the SEO tool that is available to all, right? So for top keywords related to hotels in Singapore, when we compare IHG, Marriott, and Hilton, you can see that IHG is not ranking at all for these top keywords, which are service apartments, buffet, Singapore, right? So I've pulled these insights for last month, and last month in Singapore is when buffets and were reopening in Singapore, and that did generate a lot of search traffic by local residents. And you can see some of the brands are ranking, others don't, right? And really represent a bit of a missed opportunity here for IHG as an example. American Express Singapore and credit card Singapore. So we see, yeah, actually people are interested to know, if your loyalty program can earn certain points with this type of credit cards, right? So if you don't rank here, obviously a missed opportunity. And number 3, I want to think about the role of PR in the content strategy, right? And to me, it really has the role of amplifying our message. So when you create your content, you do it on your own channels, but you can also, think about PR to extend your reach, right? And the value of working with certain media outlets is that they rank really well on the search results page due to the authority of their website, right? So, this is an example by. Actually, I can't remember which media, but think about it as a big travel publication where we would we would position our hotel here. The article is probably top hotels in Bali, and when people are searching, obviously this article would generate a lot of traffic, and a tactic that a lot of OTAs are actually doing, right? So I cannot point, but you see the two call to action buttons. This is a book on Agoda and book on booking.com, right? And these links are actually affiliate links, right? So when you click through, booking.com will obviously generate the booking, but the website will generate a commission, right? So now the media and PR are really used as almost as an intermediate to drive travel and to drive booking. And for us hoteliers, I think we are a little bit behind because OTAs are highly dependent on this type of tactics to drive traffic to their site, right? But we are not doing it. Next is content to drive conversions. So make it easy for your customer to book the right product, right? So number one, in content and in digital, really about retargeting the relevant audiences with relevant content. We've spoken earlier about capturing, first-party data through your CRM or other sources. Now, with in digital, with the way the industry is going, with letting go about like third-party data and disregarding the rule of cookies, for us in industry, it's very important that we start gathering more data to ourselves so we can control it better. We know exactly what type of data we have, right? So, for example, I've shown you on the previous slide how do we generate content for a destination with a long piece article, right, about Bali. So to me, every visitor of that page, we can create an audience pool of, these are the people interested into Bali, and therefore I can retarget them, in the next stage of the funnel. I can retarget them with a relevant message and understand, what's their behavior, right? So this can be done through display media. This can be done through, other type of paid ad channels. But again, here the content is going to be very important to be relevant and personalized to that specific audience. So capture that first-party data and deliver a relevant message. Number two is about the booking engine, right? And I think this will be relevant for all the revenue managers in the room, right? So if you look at your website analytics, you will see that probably 90% of the people exiting your website, this is happening during the booking funnel. And I believe that we have a tendency to over-focus on the price aspect of the booking journey, and which is what we are highlighting in red here. Sorry, it's not super clear, but in the booking engine there is a lot of content and things we can really try to spend more time on optimizing. Right, there is actually the description of the room, what is included, the amenities, reasons to book direct. There is the description of the rate and certain TNCs that we want to highlight more prominently because we think they will drive more bookings. So we need to look, from a customer perspective, all these aspects will trigger, the click on the next step, which is to continue the journey, right? So, as a revenue manager, I shouldn't just think about the pricing element, but think about it as the overall value proposition that the guest is going through, right, and make it very clear, right? So lots of things you can experiment, on your booking engine, and I believe Ivan will definitely give us some more, practical tips on how we can do this. Number three is your OTAs, right? So we also have a bit of a tendency to really put all our efforts to optimize our website and content, and the OTAs can be an afterthought, or we leave it to the revenue managers to deal with it, which can be fine. But for OTAs, we need to treat them the same way and also think about optimizing content there. And there's tools to do this. Some technology vendors allow you to distribute content to be consistent with your brand.com. You can also run certain types of experiments and tests to see how effective your content is. But OTAs will also, they work on their product, right? So OTAs, they work on the technology and the product, but really the content that goes on it, it's really for you to look after, right? So my last slide is, in order to be successful in your content strategy, you will also need like two very important aspects, right? The first one is measurement. So we talked earlier that if you just think about ROI for your content, you will likely not succeed, because ROI is it's really hard to correlate it directly, right? Because of how digital tracking works. It does not allow you, last click methodologies, et cetera, does not allow you to correlate and attribute your booking to the content effort, because typically content is higher in the funnel. So you need to think, what are you going to measure exactly? Are you measuring the right thing for the right, right metric for the right initiative? And are you in your office? Do you have a mindset, a growth mindset? Are you developing a roadmap of experiments to try how different things work? Beyond pricing that is constantly optimized, but are you also developing certain aspects similarly to what we saw on the menu earlier, to try drive efficiency? And then on the right, we have the right resources, right? So think about who is developing content for your hotel, for your group. What are the resources that go into it, to develop your, what I call foundation content, right? Which will be your photos, videos, copywriting. Who is doing it? Are they the right people? Are they the right resources? Do they know your hotel? Do they ensure that your content is consistent? Who is developing your ongoing content, and the type of campaigns that you will do, on a more ongoing basis? What is the role and accountability that you have between marketing, sales, revenue? For example, who is in charge of optimizing the booking engine content? Who is in charge of optimizing the OTA content, right? You need to have intentional discussions internally with with all your commercial team to be clear on how this is going to work for you, right? And then the budget. So we say, like, invest intentionally in content, right? So do you have resources dedicated for this, right? Similarly, do you have resources dedicated to optimize pricing? Do you have resources to optimize content? And what percentage of your budget are you putting into it, right? From a commercial perspective, right? So I hope these tips give you some starting points to think about how do you do this in your hotel, in your hotel group, and you will see the value of it. And moving forward, I'll hand over to Ivan.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So we're going to be talking about how you can actually engage with users online. So you are actually using personalized service every day. How many of you think that the last movie that you watched on Netflix you actually chose? Really? Nobody, right? Yeah? You chose yours? Or was it or they invited you to use it? Right? So initially, if you look at why Netflix personalizes content, basically their need is they have a limitation on the number of movies and series that they have. They don't want me to go and see if I want to watch Pulp Fiction, because they don't have it. They will suggest me what is it that I would like, and they will actually see what I have been watching lately, and they will present me with all alternative pictures that will help me convince that this is what I want to watch. So if I recently watched horror movies, probably they showed me the first one or the last picture. If I normally like family movies, they will show me any of the other pictures. So what other companies are working on personalization? Sometimes to add value. I know that we put best available rate and we often focus on that. But I feel that hotels in the last 2 years have realized of the value of bringing unique packages that actually lure users to have an experience in your hotel. Nike ID, anyone is familiar with that concept? Yeah? So you will be able to create your own shoe, which is the only shoe that you can see around with the same specifications, but you can only purchase it on their direct channel. They will only purchase it through online. No other shop will be able to deliver that. So we're going to talk today about the user journey. We're going to talk about the booking process and how you can personalize user experience, how you can use the data of users engaging on your website and booking engine, and how you can actually turn those lookers into bookers with just using the details that they're sharing with you. Now, questions we always go by when we are trying to purchase any product: a phone, a car, a bag of crisps. Is this a good product? Is this the right product for me? Do I really need this? Does it have a front camera? Does it have a rear camera? Does it have a level of a battery? Does it have an online reputation, etc.? And am I in the right place to purchase this product? The one answer that the hotel wants to try to answer quickly is, yeah, let's purchase it now. Let's do it quickly, because if the user is exposed to a purchase for a longer period, all the players are going to come in, and it's very likely that we lose that account. So you can look at your website and every user at your website like the same type of user, or you can try and look at each user individually and realize what that user is asking you. For example, do you think that the first, the second, and the third time that you go to the same website, you're looking for the same things? Right? You at least learn a little. If only the first thing that you saw and the last thing that you saw, we learn that. So the next time that we go by, we try to pile on that. So why would you send the same experience to a person that just landed to your website for the first time, the second time, or the third time? Why would you not acknowledge someone that maybe dropped on after making a search and didn't finalize a booking? So look at, through personalization, you can look at each individual and be able to deliver answers that are meaningful to them. And I'm not talking about personas. I'm not talking about, because we all have different personas. Today, most of you came on a business trip on your own. You look for certain specifications, but maybe next week you guys are going with your families and you just need a bigger space. Some people were trying to get rid of their kids. I mean, mine are 16 and 17 and 14. So I don't even have to think about them anymore. They just don't think about me. So what pieces of data can we collect, and what things can we react based on the user? So someone connected in your connects on your website at your hotel. Your hotel is in Singapore. Let's all agree that your hotel is in Singapore. And the user is in London. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. And you decide to send them a picture about your breakfast and say, hey, you could have this breakfast if you stayed with us, because it's 8 o'clock in the morning in London. So timing, time of a day. Is it looking at your hotel on a weekday, or is it looking on a weekend? Are they actually searching in your booking engine? So if they're searching in your booking engine, if I just search for tonight on a mobile device, why would you send me early bird promotion? I just told you, I want to stay with you tonight. If you have a mobile-only last-minute offer, send me that notification. So leverage the data that the user is willingly sharing with you to be able to trigger that notification. With the example of families, if I leverage in your booking engine that there's 2 adults and 1 kid, didn't I just tell you I'm a family traveler? So leverage that information, and then make sure that instead of asking me to go through your special offers, scroll down through all the offers that you have, and then figure out which one is good for me, you actually are making the effort to say, hey, this is the one that is good for you. It's like when you go to the supermarket, right, and you need eggs, and you don't know where the eggs are, right? And you ask someone, and this guy says, hey, yeah, over there. Turn right. Have you felt that before? Right? If you really need those eggs, you might come out of there and try and find your way to get them. But if it was something that you just, okay, it's not a necessity, you'll There's a different option if that person that is doing whatever stops. Yes, sir, come here, over there. So your website allows you, and the data allows you to actually react in real time to those users. What about someone clicks on your newsletter or your Facebook? The user experience that someone landing to your website, what they saw before landing to your website when they click on the Google or when they click on Facebook is completely different. When they went on Google, probably OTAs already have used your brand name, so they bid on top of you. Or the meta search is showing prices, so best rate guarantee strategy might be the call to action. But if someone just click on a special promotion, you have pet-friendly hotel. Only when they click there, through UTM variables, URL variables, when they land to your website, hey, we love your pet. Here is a special promotion. So you continue with the story. Suddenly your social media becomes an extension of your website. Here are some examples of how you can target relevant notifications. You can use multiple formats. You can use formats which actually are inserted within your script so they don't look like an overlayer. And I feel yesterday when I was asked by Jacqueline on communication, I highlight one point, which is we don't like pop-ups. We genuinely do not like pop-ups. But if we realize that we actually get to see the pop-up, the effectivity of the pop-up is incredible. The relevance is that message important to me or not? And if I just told you that I'm searching for 2 adults and 1 kid, that message is important to me. Relevant special promotions that you may have targeting domestic users. Now we are all very familiar with staycations, right? In fact, just a thought, even your international travelers have been doing staycations on their destination. So keep on with those packages, with those special promotions that you bundle services, etc. So deliver message based on different IPs. Down to city level, for example, if the hotel is within the same, if the user is within the same city where the hotel is located and is looking at your restaurant, but this time it would be a good time to send them something about your special lunch menu. Increased length of stay. So we had an example not long ago, a hotel in Pattaya. I don't know if you know Pattaya. Pattaya is on 2 hours away from Bangkok. So the problem is that weekenders go there, spend 1 night, and come back. And the hotel wanted to increase number of nights. So what they did was, I make a special promotion with the minimum 2-night stay. We actually pay you for a voucher on gasoline. And only visible when the user is searching for 1 night. So actually it invites the user to go to a longer stay. Again, if a user has come back to your website, acknowledge that that user is coming back to your website. Maybe you can put the last dates that they searched to make it easier on the funnel for them to continue with that process. And to be able to work on the point where the user left. So personalized content allows you to be more effective also on your marketing campaigns. Because when you have more direct bookings, when your website is attracting more conversion, it's clear that you will actually achieve higher return. There's no point of inviting 100 people to my house if I only have 20 glasses. I cannot cater for that amount of people. So if we are able to increase the conversion, then you can maybe move to a cost per click instead of a cost per acquisition. You can play with different scenarios. And in order to do that, you have different interactions tools that you can act in different moments of the booking funnel. So if someone is landing on your website, then based on IPs, on different alternatives, you can actually communicate different messages. But if someone is making a search on your booking engine, what do they want to know? Do they want to know if you are in the right place to purchase that product, right? So bring price comparisons to your booking engines. We talked before about transparency in your pricing. Show this is what you will get here. This is what you will get in different OTAs. And then combine messages that will actually avoid going through becoming your page a Christmas tree. So adapt the messages, hyper-personalize to make sure that the right message goes to the right person, so you don't have many messages, but a person just gets the right nudge to move ahead. So let's take a bit of a, we have 4 teams before, so we're going to propose a little exercise, right? So can we, the same teams or similar teams, or those new that came along, move to the 4 flip charts, and we can actually start doing it's going to be a very brief exercise. So group number 1 is going to, basically the game is, this client just arrived to your front office. They actually made a booking direct, right? So we need to figure, how did you realize and what message did you push to this client to confirm in your hotel? Are we in? Before I change, so this client is a family weekender trip, it's a domestic, and it was 2 adults and 2 kids, right? I want to know if this is going to work. Yeah. So group number 2, this client saying, how did you realize that this person, when in the funnel did you realize this person was who it was? What message did you send? And how did you finalize this booking? Number 3, we have this client. It's a business trip to Singapore. It's 1 adult. It's going to stay with you between Wednesday and Friday, so you're doing your check-in. And it's considering staying over the weekend, right? And it's searching from, he connected from London, okay? Number 4, he's coming with friends, and it's 3 adults searching from Gold Coast, Australia. Okay, and wants to stay in the Formula 1. This is your group, okay?
Singapore.
Sorry?
F1 in Singapore.
Yeah. So we're going to do 4 minutes. We're walking around. And remember, these are some of the options you can use in order to identify how the user reacted, how the user is going to see the message, and how you're going to target that user. Ready? Rock and roll. So some of the key points, so segment users, try to make an offer that is personalized, hyper-relevant messages. If you are thinking between sending a message or not, it's likely you shouldn't send a message, right? Look at your details, look at your data, how much traffic is coming from a particular market. Look at all the departments to see if what is the English market, the different markets going. And by the way, you can all see that we end on the exercise. So try to deliver that message which is targeted, and then measure the impact of that message. It's not an issue of just go there, send a message, and leave it there. See what is the influence that is creating. Don't forget that the goal of your website is to draw users closer to the booking funnel. It's an e-shop. I don't know how many of you have seen the TripAdvisor logo. You click there and you go to TripAdvisor. Hello. They're telling you the rest of the rates from competitors. They're giving you alternative hotels for you. Try to avoid those scenarios. Adapt your website to communication to be able to fly, to adapt to you, and be creative and find the voice of your hotel. It's very important that the hotel talks to the user in a different tone. and particularly for each particular user. And I leave you now with Kamesh, that is going to take you through RateGain. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan. That was fantastic. I think we've just learned about the top level content part, how to convert that to books. In fact, that's been the biggest challenge for the industry. I'm going to talk about how can we bring that to the bottom of the funnel. We all need numbers. We all need net revenues after all. I'll start with my journey. That was me 2019 and before. Look at the apps that I had. It was all about booking, managing your check-in, managing your bookings. Of course, earning miles, weather, top restaurants. I was physically going there. So my searches were that time. What changed? A lot. Number one, I was forced to use Zoom. Forced. As much, of course, it was a business need, it's going to remain, but I was forced to use Zoom instead of face-to-face. I missed the physical interaction, and it will remain. We will remain hybrid the way we are. Just look at the apps that were used by me. I wanted pet-friendly because I've been exposed to working from anywhere. Last 2 years taught me I could work from mountain, from sea, from any part of the world, from a hotel in a city, just to get a change from those four walls that I was living and working from. That's got me interested into a lot more searches in my bucket list while I was building, hey, when Singapore reopens, I'm going to do so many things. Or what are the things that I could do, or even do before even choosing a destination. Because for me, a hotel became a destination that time. It wasn't the hotel anymore. I was not very, very direct in my choice for the hotel as much as I was searching between destinations. There was something more to it here. That's how I describe my journey as a traveler. And I'm sure we've covered fantastically well by Matthew, by Ivan, all of us. You can see how it was. It was just about price and reviews. And I think that's been our journey as well. It evolved to pricing, review, and location because destination mattered to us that time. We were choosing between destination because we knew that we can work from a mountain or sea as well. We can take our pets along there. What changed further and what's going to remain is a larger bucket list here. You see, the price, reviews, location, of course, becomes the base, but it's about photos as well. What really appeals, we worked on this exercise just now with Ivan. We saw how we could entice a traveler who's looking to actually book. How could you upsell over there? A lot of photos, and it's a lot of updates because you're catering to a different persona from a different source market who's got a different objective for the travel, right? Amenities. Yes, we could add beer to an Australian traveler coming into Singapore. So that's what maybe is expected because he or she could be traveling with friends. The objective is very clear out there. Policies, of course. We've all gone through the pay now, book now, pay later, or hey, free cancellation for a year because we can't control what happens between countries and the borders. So that's where a lot of it goes there. I travel with my fur babies. I call them babies, and I can't take a vacation or a drivecation or even a petcation without them. It's with them always while I'm connected on the laptop or Zoom. Oh my God, this looks really some evolution here, right? So look at how content has changed, how attributes have evolved, which matters a lot to the travelers now, which matters a lot to us when we travel. Because, of course, the fares will continue to go up, but we'll be more cautious about choosing destination and then the hotel. So you can see how property details were very standardized around 2019, pre-COVID. I hate that the COVID word, but yes, the new norm or where we're living now, it was completely different. We got into virtual payments as well just around July. If you look at 2019, that's where the virtual card payment, even guest misconduct was content out there, but it evolved further to 24 new measures of health and safety. We still care. We still talk about sustainability out there. We travel with our loved ones, whether they're family members or our fur babies out there. And of course, it also led to 32 new attributes just around sustainable stays. And that's a big debate. We can go on. But sustainability, in a way, also leads to high value and high pricing. You can get a lot more out of that when a traveler books or even looks that time. Let's see how we have the current distribution system on the content. I've got 3 properties here. There you go. You've got people, champions working who are responsible for, say, revenue or distribution. Matthew rightly mentioned it's a larger commercial play now. Every department needs that content because you also need to sell your laundry there. You need to put in your spa for somebody who's coming for wellness, for a different objective out there. And just imagine so much of updates going out there, right? You've got your CRS, your booking engine, your website, one of your core babies because you own that. You've also got to do that across to the new source market channels which are actually driving the conversions. A German traveler, after Germany opens up completely for Singapore, of course you need to be on the top producing demand generators online in Germany where a German traveler books, which means you need to be personalizing your content there, basis the objective on what they're booking for. Look at this. So much of work, and it's so much of inconsistency out here. If you do it manually, 8 hours, because we're human beings, we're not robots here. We tend to make mistakes when we do it manually. You need to have this automated because the market dynamics will change and it'll change really fast here. You won't even know what you're missing out if we don't automate this process internally as well and own it collectively as an organization. You've got the big pain point, which is the non-standardized content storage. You bring content like, hey, I put a 2017 picture out there, but maybe it's not appealing to an Australian traveler. Or you put something which has been utilized during the lockdown where domestic travel had staycations. It might not appeal to an international traveler either, or a solo woman traveler who's coming with her girlfriends out there. That's a lot to be done, and auditing, of course, because the dynamics have changed. Travelers have become a lot more aware. They expect content in the same manner they expect personalized services as well as physical experience. And that's a big struggle on the right side that you see. So see the inconsistency out here in the current scenario, and of course, you add another new property as a group, you add more number of hours, which could have been used in something more strategic, upskilling, cross-skilling, all of that could have been done, but yes, we are also missing some resources out there because we add properties and we expect that person to work for, say, 12 to 18 hours, literally updating content every week. Crazy, right? So this is one of the reasons where content is critical, because the very first experience that we are seeing as a conclusion to what Matthew and Ivan spoke is the digital experience comes first, because that's your sales catalyst. That's your online sales team member out there, selling you, upselling you, cross-selling you. That's the first experience which a traveler expects before he or she converts to a guest. Then, at the same time, the expectations have gone up. What was aspiration is now an expectation for the traveler, same traveler who's traveled before in 2019, 2018. For them, the consistency has to be with digital, physical, and service. So what he or she expects when he or she is actually there in the city and the property is expected the same manner before even booking. That's where looks to books are always a big challenge for all of us in the industry here. Look at the descriptions. Look at what 2022 looks like, and it's going to really go upwards only. There's going to be more personalization expected from each traveler, from specific countries, which also have cultural sensitivities at the same time. So there's a lot more popular filters that are added in the search now before being booked. And this is, I'm just talking about the online travel space. Of course, you've got your booking engines and the CRS play out there, but this is what that source market traveler would be looking at. And you've got a lot of filters to cater to before you convert that booking. So your cost of acquisition or the faster conversion rate is dependent on how much more you update on the content side. And that's a regular affair there. Hence, it's a continuous process. So gone are the times where, hey, I'm updating content maybe every 6 months, and that's enough. No, it's not enough, because this is not enough. So it's a continuous process, because it will always keep evolving as the travelers evolve. Just put yourself in the traveler's shoes. You'll know what has evolved there. What inspires you to book online on any particular channel, specifically when you're traveling outside of your countries here. So that's it. I hope it's been a great session. I'd love to hear some questions across, so we can have.
Yeah, I've been talking about the software and these kind of things, but there's also like other places where customers are always interacting with hotels. It's also like on Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, Google Business Chat. I think maybe many of you maybe never heard about it, but this is like new channels where like you have engagements with customers, and most of the time like. So what you do like for this content, because there is content there. You need to push your content.
Absolutely. So I think we need to really look at glocalizing it here. You first of all, you should use data to actually know what the source is changing. And of course, these are important components. Social media is big. It's a big space.
Yes, but instant messaging is a big business. And I think like most of hotels do not tap into this business. In APAC, it represents 50% of all digital e-commerce platform. This was like the largest like increase for like business in online, but like hotels not really tap into this business right now.
Well, talking about chat, instant messaging, and chatbot, to me as a consumer today, I honestly I didn't have good experiences on chatbot, right? It's always going into, the first you have to pick lots of options, and then at the end, spending a few minutes, then, the engine doesn't recognize your request, and then it has been a painful experience for me so far. So I think, consumers are probably into a phase where you need to learn how to use the chatbot, and then as the technology and the AI gets better, eventually we'll get but is actually more effective. I think there's one point on the evolution of the technology that is still probably in the infancy stages. So that's probably why certain hoteliers are a bit reluctant to go into these options, because and especially in the luxury space, where for me we rather really handhold our customers with a very specialized and personalized type of conversation, rather than assigning a chatbot to them. This is how we feel. But I think and we don't have the volume of requests that would justify automating the conversation. But I think for larger chains, airlines, I think it makes a lot of sense for them to probably go into this territory and try to automate this conversation, because probably 90% of the requests coming in can be similar. But then, always give the option to have a human interaction. I think that's important, right?
Well, like yesterday we were talking, even like human interaction, you don't even have it in check-in. So for me, like human interactions, like in chat, I think most of the customers really don't care. There's like a lot of search about it, and it's more important for the customers to have like an instant rewards for them, like to answer the questions like instantly, and to get access to the content, because people are not searching today. So this is what we think they search, but they do not search on the website. They want to find the information instantly in their fingertips, and they want to know, like, for example, do you have like a rooftop bar at the hotel? They want to know this information instantly. They don't want to search inside your website.
Yeah, I think we see now the customer want answers instantly, right?
Instantly.
They don't even want to bother browsing through your site because they don't know where to find the information, right? Is it going to be on your office page, on an experience page, on a dining page? I don't want to bother. I want an answer now, and this is the real, expectations of the modern traveler. So yeah, I think a chatbot can be answering some of these questions. But again, I think a hotel would
actually
need to test.
most of our customers are like 5-star hotels, so that's more in luxury space than like.
Well, 5-star. I mean, there's a broad range within the 5-star. So I mean, that's another debate, but fine.
I think we can. We're running out of time because Professor is waiting. So we can have the last question with your permission. Quick one. Thanks.
So right now we know that there is increasing awareness and even some concern about how much data is collected from us through apps and our activity. Even some of the network providers are into monetizing the data, are what we are looking on the internet. So do you believe there is a threat that the content might be too personal for someone and they might not like it? So for example, say I text someone that I'm going to Singapore for a conference and I get ads for hotels in Singapore, I'm happy. But say I just casually mention to someone that, hey, I'm maybe planning a trip to Greece, not even thinking about it right now, and I start getting packages. And that might just be like a little too personal when I'm not even intending to visit yet. So do you think that's a threat that the content might become too personal?
Okay, so to me, I think the customer is not really educated on the way its own data is being used, right? So, for example, if you use Facebook Messenger, the default terms and condition is that the microphone is open by default, right? So they can actually, recognize certain words you're saying, and then you'll be targeted on Facebook, right? So, and this is their business model, right? Like Facebook makes money by getting data about you and then selling it to advertisers like hotel brands, right? So if you are a user, then you need to know that you're going through these terms and conditions of the Facebook platform, right? And then similarly, if you use a website from hotels, we have to be very clear in our privacy statement and policies that here's how we're going to use your data. And I think now, I think lately with all the more data privacy rules that we have to abide by, I think we are more conscious of it as a brand, and we are making an effort to be very clear on what is going to be the usage of the data. But I don't think a hotel is as advanced and as creepy as what the social networks can do today. That's not the business model we're in. But I think when we collect data, through forms, sign-up forms, newsletters, booking engine, etc., that data collection process have to be very intentional of what we're going to do with the data and be transparent with the user to tell them clearly about it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Yes, thank you.